Okay.
Got it.
Just check Shredders Unite if you don't mind to see if it starts playing.
I'll go there now.
Okay. And I thought I turned the music off. Obviously, I didn't do a good job. What the heck?
You're live. You're there.
Excellent.
Hope you guys don't mind a little Pink Floyd.
Hold on, guys. I don't think everyone wants to listen to Pink Floyd all night.
Maybe.
Might be better than what I have to say. All right. Top of the hour.
You're going to co-host somebody?
I'll make you a co-host, okay?
Okay.
Melanie, where are you?
And I'll keep the window up.
Spotlight, make a co-host. Okay, you're co-host.
Right. I'm ready.
So we have Warren, Melanie, Crystal, and Ruby on so far, and my wonderful wife, Allison.
And Warren.
And I did say Warren, I'm sorry. So this is going to be awesome. And if anybody's lucky enough to join us later on, that would be wonderful too. All right, 7:02. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Thursday night, everybody, welcome. Shredders Unite Biz Call. I'm so happy to be back and live. And Allison, are we seeing you or am I seeing me? That's a speaker view.
I'm seeing everyone.
Okay, you're seeing, do you see me when I talk?
Yeah, I see everybody.
Okay, good. I have it on speaker view, but I just have you like front and center. That's why I was asking.
Well, if you have it on speaker view, then it's only going to show the speaker. Do you want it to only show the speaker or to show everybody?
I have it on speaker view and it's not. It's just showing you, sweetie. So that's okay. I can stare at you all night. We're good. It's kind of throwing me for a little one.
I think we're good.
Left curve. All right,
we're good.
In all seriousness, thank you for joining me on this special Thursday night call. And I promised you last night, for those that would be with us, I would try to make this to be the most eventful, impactful call that I've had on ER Shred. And in order to do so, before I announce the special guest, I truly need to set this thing up properly and to give you kind of the context in terms of what my thought process was. And it could have been alcohol induced while I was in Mexico. Thinking about what am I going to do for a Thursday night call. I spent a lot of time reflecting, as we should when we go on vacation. Kind of my active, I don't know, I never can sit still really well, like meditating, but I will call it my active meditation, walking, seeing the beautiful landscape, the views, doing a lot of reading. And I think I might have hit on something that hopefully will connect with you all. So before I get started, I made the comment, this is where tonight, where left brain meets the right brain. And you're going to say, well, what the heck does that mean? So I'm going to go from the understanding, as I hope as any good teacher would, that we'll go from the ground floor. So if this is old news for you, understand, no big deal, it'll go by fast. If it's new, if it's a new way to think, this is great stuff. So bottom line, when you say left brain or refer to left brain, this is your logical part of your brain. And this is where myself personally, for the first 42, 45 years of my life, I would say I was 80, 90% left brain as a financial analyst, numbers guy. I was always thinking left brain, how to numbers, process, systems, and it can get very boring. I know that for those that have watched me on our Thursday night calls or anytime I've done a live, I really get passionate talking about the emotional side. That's our right side of our brain. And I always talk about what we are with ER Shred is we're trying to inspire people. We want to inspire you to be a better you, not necessarily tell you how to do it. And the how-tos, honestly, can get quite boring. We've all been there. Most academic classes, high school, college, graduate school, going through business conferences, etc. That's all left side of your brain. That's all the how-tos, and it can get very, very dull. But let me ask an open-ended question. There's only six of us on here. How many of you have been inspired by the how-tos? I mean, how many people have really gotten fired up and excited about the how-tos? Okay, Melanie, awesome. Thank you for your honesty. That's cool. But what I want to talk about initially is kind of what Sean and Crystal, when they developed the concept and what was behind not only their success with our fulfillment company and their parent success. And I'll stop right there and say, this is a business call. Our disclaimer is very simple and straightforward. There are no guarantees. If you are in this business of network marketing, a lot will depend upon your skill set, your experience, your level of knowledge, your communication abilities, etc. And obviously hard work and a little luck helps as well. But there are no guarantees. And at the same time, on the product side, we don't cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. What we're all about is supporting people living their best life through quality nutrition. So that said, I'll jump right in. As we are all well aware of, it was really Sean's parents, Randy and Tony Escobar, that put our fulfillment company on the map. And they did it in an extraordinary fashion, not from the left side of the brain of how to, but they did it as a servant heart. How can we serve others? That is 100% your right side of your brain. That's your emotional side. And what I'll say is that for most people, we are inspired through our emotions. And I want you to just kind of sit with that and think about it. What it means to us from a loved one, to if it's a neighbor or supporting or helping, or if it's being charitable, that's all emotional. That's from your left side. What we've done here with the ER Shred community is definitely our left side. We are a caring group of individuals, some financially connected, but most of us are not financially connected, but we are inspired to support each other for a common goal. And that is, we want to empower others to live their best life. And obviously we do have a system, which we refer to as the ER Shred protocol, that will be the tracks to run on to get you there. So for my goal this evening, is Jesse's often asking me, our other ambassador, Jesse Jamnick is amazing, but he's always sharing the tracks to run on. We're going to give you the tracks to run on, but we're going to let you get to choose basically for you what works best for you. And I know that's very frightening for many of us, because being told you have the freedom of choice and you're not being told how to is kind of scary, because we've been told how to since we were toddlers, since we were raised by our parents, since we went through junior high, high school, college, whatever you name it, sports teams, etc. We just lined up and we did what we did because we were told to do it that way. So being an entrepreneur, being in the group of ER Shred can be a little intimidating, and it can be scary in that we're giving you the power of choice. So as Sean more eloquently than I can state it, and since he is on, Sean, I want you to share real quickly again how you've rephrased or positioned ER Shred as an empowerment program or protocol, your new language. Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, no, that I wrote it down.
And I was trying to find it.
No, it's right here. I think this is what you're referring to. The ER Shred is a nutritional dietary lifestyle empowerment protocol. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, yep.
By fully satiating the body's needs, we are able to take back control of the diet, which is the common denominator of overall well-being. Food can either be your poison or your pain, or it can serve as your fuel or your fortitude. Come alive and learn to feel your way to good health for the first time. Only you can do it. ER Shred provides the tracks to run on for ultimate self-discovery.
Excellent. And, you know, one thing that I was talking with Jesse the other day about, and he's like, well, I don't know if we can say it, but I think we can. What I find fascinating about ER Shred, about my personal story, is that I was lucky enough to be introduced to this program, our fulfillment company, that is, 17 years ago. So I've been doing it the right way. Everything except for the elimination component, with, you know, the most important part that Sean came up with. I've been following the system. I've been doing 2-day cleanses. I've been using the bone broth. I've been incubating the shakes for almost 6 years now, August of 2015. But what I have to say is that I always followed that 80-20, and yeah, you're going to have you're going to live life, you're going to have fun, etc. But the reality in looking at pictures, and that's really the best judge, is to realize that even though I was doing all the right things that I thought that I could do based upon my own pictures, it never got me there. And what I mean by that is I had stomach bloat. I had the belly bloat. I just thought it was age. I thought, well, maybe I'm 50 something. Well, my wife likes to point out I will be 60 this year. I will be at the end of the year, but I'm 59. But I've been doing this for 17 years, and I'll be very honest with you. I am all humbled but blown away, and I'm not being hopefully vain, but we all like to look good and feel our best. I remember when I came alive, and we've talked about that with all of you. I came alive. I feel different. My mental, my mindset, I'm happier, etc. All these things occurred. And oh, by the way, this is the best shape I've ever been in. And the longer you stay with it, the better you feel and the better you look. And I think this is incredible because this is not supposed to happen. So I believe the ER Shred, as it says in the name, ER elimination reset, it resets your metabolism, because there's no other way to explain it other than that my metabolism at 59 is doing better than it did at any time from the age of 22 to 59 and a half. Well, I'm at 59 and a half now, but let's say 59, started at 59, right? But that's my point. And I think we're all seeing phenomenal results, and you all have had great results, or otherwise I don't think you would be on this particular Thursday night business call. That said, Sean and I and others, man, we have spent hours and hours and hours in terms of how can we motivate, how do we inspire, how do we bring back that old feeling we had with John Anderson in the very beginning by making a difference, by supporting others and getting the very best results. And, you know, for whatever reason, a lot of us lost our way. And thankfully, out of a phoenix, when things looked to be their worst, ER Shred was born. And then when it happened, like Sean said, it came together pretty darn fast as far as the protocol, the community, the call up. Hey, I'm changing the name of the group. This is what we're doing. Let's see what happens. I don't know if anybody will join us, but damn, do I feel good. Let's see what happens. And I'm blown away at this success. One of the things that Sean mentioned the other day, and it is true, it's summertime. And we're conditioned, because we say it's summertime, to mentally check out. So obviously we've got maybe 9 participants. A lot of people will be lazy tonight, or hopefully not. They're on Facebook, so they'll be able to participate, but not really, because they're not on the Zoom call. But maybe this will be the beginning of a new chapter for us. And that is something that hit me while I was in Mexico. And I'm always trying to figure out myself, how am I to be a better leader if I have a team? How can I do a better job of inspiring people? When I say inspire, the word inspiration is basically, it's from in spirit, it's from within. It's basically how we feel. That's the right side of our brain. That's the emotional side. What I really was excited about in the very beginning, Sean, was the opportunity to be able to do this with you as a partner, but to do it the right way, with what your mom and dad led with, which was a servant heart. Because for me, that moved me. It moved me emotionally. It moved me from a standpoint of my purpose, my motivation, my alignment, my value system. Everything perfectly came together. So again, the question comes back to, how do we inspire others to take action? Now, here's where the pavement hits the road. I've done a tremendous amount of personal development, and I would ask all of you to do the same at your own speed. Be aware, when the opportunities present themselves. Peter Greenlaw reintroduced me to Clemmer and Associates. It was a great program. I learned a lot of things. Is it the end all? Not at all. Tony Robbins, I've gone through his programs. Absolutely phenomenal. I get charged up. Is it the end all? No, you got to stay with it. But as we age and we have different life experiences, we need to continue to revisit ourselves in terms of what makes us tick. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. The law of attraction, wonderful idea. Everyone's heard of The Secret and that movie that was out, and it was wonderful. But meditating, hey, Glenn, man, I'm glad to have you on there, coach. Welcome. So the thing is that when we're talking about, you threw me off there, buddy, when you came on, you surprised me. So no, when we're talking about, what's inspiring to us and our why, and why are we here, what we're doing, what is our purpose, I want you all to think about what Sean has said, what Jesse has said, and what I have stated, what Allison has said, what Melanie, Glenn, Nozak. We all have our own story, but this is what hit me like a ton of bricks in Mexico. It doesn't matter what I say, and it really doesn't matter what Sean says. We can give you our best of the best that inspired us, but remember, in spirit, from within, from God, that's from me. That's from my heart. I can express myself to the best of the ability that I can understand, but I might not connect with a person who's 100% left brain logical if I'm coming from the heart, right? So, I mean, art of communication, you got to kind of have to connect with the person or your audience that you're talking to. But what I mean by that is, who is tonight's guest? Tonight's guest is the most important person in the world, and that is you all. You're my guest. And the reason I'm doing this is I can't possibly answer for you what is right and what is wrong. Some of us are more left brain, logical thinkers, the engineers in the room, etc. Some are going to be more spiritual, the supporters, the nurturers are maybe more right brain by just innate, by the way they were raised. My goal has been, since finding personal development, to really work on myself. And I had to in a challenging way, because I was so conditioned to think by numbers and by the process and how to, and it had to be this way. And that's kind of hard to give up when you're brought in an environment that's controlled. That's not abundant. It's literally, it's coming out of scarcity. You're being controlled by other people, be it your boss, be it the rules. It could be any organization you're in. Everybody has their rules, when to show up, etc. So what is ER Shred? It's a scary concept. We're here to empower you to become the best you. But what are we from the business side? We're coming from a standpoint of what we think is the right way, a servant heart. We want to empower you to be the best you, to be successful. But here's what I want to get to tonight. It does not happen without inspired action, meaning that you have to be moved into action. And I'm going to start off with my first guest tonight, and that is Sean. And the reason why I'm going to pick on Sean is because not only is he our leader, but it's very, very, for the new people, probably kind of confusing to understand exactly how Sean arrived. Sean is one of the most successful people in our fulfillment company. His parents literally put our company on the map. They were the first millionaires. Sean has provided an amazing life for his family, for his children. But what Sean doesn't like to focus on or talk a lot about, and that is his commitment to action in the beginning. And I know I can get a lot of that from your dad, but Sean, please tell me, in the early days when you came to this as a business, here are the questions. I want to know, what inspired you? What was your purpose? What was your why at that time? And it may have changed today. That'll always evolve. But it starts with your why, your purpose, but you also have to have a vision where you want to go. What were your goals? They should be SMART goals, specific, measurable, etc. But what ultimately were the core, what was the action you took to be successful? Because that's the hard part. Nobody wants to say, here's what's required, because if we tell people what's required, sometimes that can be way too scary and they go, ooh, I don't know if I want to do that. Sean, how many hours in the gym have you spent in order to look as good as you do? Those abs weren't created 100% in the kitchen, right? Or those muscles weren't created 100% in the kitchen. You put a lot of time and effort into working yourself out to get there. So without further ado, welcome to the stage, Sean Escobar.
Well,
I would love for you to share with me and share with the audience, and I really focus on what were the action steps you took and how did you become successful? Because without, the idea is one thing, servant heart is wonderful, but you worked very, very hard.
Yeah, no, we worked really, really hard. And I think that's one of the things early on that, I actually turned people off how hard I was working. Does that make sense? I worked so hard in the beginning that people would look at me and say, if that's what it takes, then I don't want to do it. And so with that said, we kind of have to first clarify that there's people that want to do this more spare time-ish. And, you can do that. I just never want to give the assumption that, what I'm telling people that we did, that's not necessary. It could be potentially necessary if your goal is to do what, or what our goals were. If your goal was to liberate yourself, if your goal was to make this a full-time gig and have powerful residual income to where, you're pretty much, it's a done deal. Like we had a goal to retire by 30, and we did that. And then we had a goal, that millionaires by 30, retired by 40. It was always that millionaires by 30, retired by 40, and we accomplished both those things. But you'd have to work pretty hard in order to make that happen. The reason it's hard to tell people what they need to do, Bob, is because what might take one person 9 months for it to click, there's another person and they have a lot more wisdom. They've got wisdom born of experience, right? And that individual comes into this, and that's why comparing in network marketing is never a good thing. But I just want to make sure that I clarify that what we did, most people wouldn't even want to do that. It is absurd. It's nuts. In the very, very beginning, I was able to generate an income, and I remember it was right around $1,500 a month, and I was in the business for 18 months, and I was 21 years old at the time. And I wasn't as committed. When you refer to me working hard as Crystal and I did, that's when we got married and we had our first child. But before that, before we had our first child, it wasn't that drop dead serious of a gig for me. And I still, after 18 months, was making $1,500 a month. So I always poo-poo that because I'm like, well, $1,500 a month. I actually, looking back on it now, I realized I actually did a pretty dang good job, and I didn't have to work it that hard. The really hard work came when we had our first child. And then there's this thing that happens to new fathers, or mothers, if you're, there's mother providers, of course. And I felt this new level of pressure when my daughter was born. And all of a sudden it was like, I have to take Isagenix very, very serious as a business now and as a profession. Before that, I think it was more like a hobby. When Lily was born, it became like I wake up at a certain time, I go get my workout in, and then I literally clock in. And I would go to the basement, and it was like I hate to put it this way, but I hate working out of basements. It was the most uninspiring place. But what motivated me about the basement was this dream I had of working, being able to build something to where I didn't have to work in the basement. And so I remember going to the basement all the time. I called it my dungeon. And I would go down there and I would be there all day. And Crystal would be upstairs and she would be like a single mother. And I worked and worked and worked and worked and worked because they had put it in my head, Bob. All these different leaders within the industry put it in my head. They would say things like this: how hard would you work over the next 2 to 3 years if you knew without any shadow of a doubt that it would literally have the potential to set you up for life? How hard? And I was just like buying into it all, because at that time I was just this really young, ambitious, entrepreneurial guy, and I wanted income badly. I mean, I was just desperate for success. I was also trying to prove myself because I'd gone through a divorce, and I live in this very close-knit Mormon community, and I was like this big fat laughing stock. I thought I was this failure, and everybody thinks I'm a loser now because I had the big D on my forehead. So there's a lot of different. Bob, am I giving you what you want, or do you want to ask me more?
No, there's no right or wrong. I think what I was trying to get from you is that people are accustomed to hearing you speak more from the emotional side, and that's what moves people, and we both agree with that. but I also want people to understand that without you taking action, or you mentioned what your motivation was in the beginning, you aspired, you had big goals, you went to work. And it doesn't matter what it is in life. If it means you want to be a bodybuilder, you want to be an athlete, you want to be top of your field as a doctor, whatever it might be. If you want to be in the top, it requires work. There's just no easy way. There's not a magic pill you take and like, oh, here's the, millionaire network marketer pill. That one costs you a little bit more money, but take it, you're done. It takes work. And I think one of the things that I wanted to accomplish, and this is all going to be based on your feedback coming back. We have so much talent in the community of ER Shred that people can tap into. It is definitely not me. And I know Sean says, hey, it's not all about me, but there are so many quality, good people that have some amazing life experiences that they can share their knowledge with, that the way I look at this as a collective is that if we all come together and we share our individual geniuses, and we're all geniuses in our own way, that's where we're going to be able to uplift others and hopefully get people to take action. Because when we do a business call, and let's be honest, I love doing the calls and seeing everybody, but the goal at the end of the day is we want to have people being successful within their goals, whatever that might be. But where I think we get dejected as leaders is when that fails, we feel I failed them. Like, what did I do wrong? Well, maybe I didn't tell them how hard it was going to be. Maybe I didn't tell them the hard coaching. I question it. I'm questioning it openly tonight. So Sean, I started with that because I wanted to set the stage of understanding that does require action and hard work, and nothing is easy in life. Glenn, I know you just I know I'm going to get to you in a second here, but for those that don't know, Dr. Glenn Nozak, our amazing doctor, health professional, he with his wonderful wife, Ina. Glenn's gone under a certification program with John Maxwell and his group, which is amazing, as to be a coach. And he put a lot of time and effort, I know, into that, almost in the same sense that Jesse did in getting his nutritional certifications. Glenn stepped out of his comfort zone from the health side, science mind, to saying, okay, I want to learn how I can become a more effective and better coach. So he has a certification that is really something to be proud of. I will ask my wife this because I told her I was going to bring her in. My wife has been coaching entrepreneurs now for many, many years. When I met her, it was because she fell into my team and she was super successful with inspiring others to take action. She's always done it from a standpoint of a servant heart in a similar fashion as Sean has. And I wanted to ask her, because what you're doing tonight and what you've been doing with your other groups is you inspire women by aligning their purpose, their sole purpose, with the business. And you're getting into their specific, what do they want to do, why they're doing it. So Allie, would you mind sharing with the group here why you feel it's so important to align your soul, your purpose, with what you are doing as an entrepreneur? How would we choose ER Shred as an example?
Cool. Okay. I had no idea what you were going to ask me. So, you talked a little bit about the right brain and the left brain, the left being the more logical, fact-based, knowledge-based, and the right being more the emotional. So I talk about it in terms of like masculine and feminine energy. And it's when I say masculine and feminine energy, this isn't about gender, because we all have both masculine and feminine energies within us. But the masculine is more of that structure, strategy, make a plan, take that action. Whereas the feminine is more tapping into your intuition, your creativity, what excites you, what lights your fire. And so, one of the things that we see in Isagenix, what I think it's a term that people use when their ignorance on fire, right? They're taking the action, but even more than the action that they're taking is the energy behind the action that they're taking. They're excited, they're inspired, they are connected to their soul's purpose, their mission, maybe it's their life messages that they just feel that they want to share. They are being true to themselves and authentic, completely, authentic. And when you share from that space of your own authenticity, your true self, however you define it, that energy that animates you, that's within you, right? I think of it as like your soul, your spirit, your essence, right? It's the non-physical. When you're tapped into that energy and you are taking action that is aligned, and we call it, inspired action, because it's in alignment with who you are, your core beliefs, what's exciting to you. That is when you truly become magnetic to those that you are meant to serve. When you are in alignment, when you are showing up from that space and from that energy. And that is really when your business is, it's the vehicle for you to live out your life purpose. And the side benefits of that is, of course, the abundance, right? That you're going to earn money as a side benefit of being willing to share yourself, share your gifts, share your message. And of course, that abundance helps you to then be more, give more, do more, live more out, invest in your learning and in your certifications, and in not only helping yourself grow, but helping your clients grow, right? And it's what allows you to really make that impact. I don't know if that's what you're asking me. Oh, but what I wanted to say is that you need both, okay? You need the vision. You need to be tapped into the creativity and the excitement and the vision and the passion of what it is that you're doing and be in your purpose. But we can't just sit and meditate on it all day and create vision boards and journal on it all day, which are all things that I do, by the way. We can't do those and expect the results to come to us, right? We have to actually think about, okay, I have this vision, I have this deeper why. And I really encourage you, if you're not clear on what that is, to really spend some time thinking about, why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? And I don't just mean because you want to impact people or because you want to help people. We know you want to do that. But why is this specifically, having this business or bringing this income, why is this personal to you, right? What is it going to allow you to do that you can't do right now, maybe, right? And so having that, and then really kind of thinking about, okay, here's the left side of the brain, here's the masculine energy. Okay, what's the plan? How am I going to get there? And when you combine those two, right, then you're taking action on a plan or on a strategy from an aligned, inspired space. And the combination of that is really how we, build a thriving business. Is that what you were looking for? Oh, you're on mute. You're on while you're trying to figure out how to unmute yourself.
I got it. I'm sorry, hon.
Okay.
No, it was perfect.
That's okay.
It was excellent. So the reason why I asked that of you is that it's critical that we have both. And I just wanted to have one caveat. I'm hoping that everybody that's on this call has the understanding and realization that and we talk, and Sean always says it, and I say it a lot, there's so much depth to ER Shred. And that is, one of the hardest things in life is to tie your purpose, basically what moves you, you're coming from the heart, your soul, with a business, with your job. A lot of people end up with a job and they just suffer through it because that's what they have to do. But when you have the opportunity to do what Allison just said, and that is to align your value system with a purpose, with an opportunity as an entrepreneur, then that's magic in the bottle. That's when the magic occurs. ER Shred, what I'm hoping you get is that one of the major geniuses behind ER Shred is that by going through the protocol, we fix you up here, you come alive, you have an emotional response, and you feel so good. It's almost like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Well, the reality is that by you just being you, people show up because they look at you differently. They will go, holy shit, I want what you have. That's the genius of what we're doing here, is that we realize that by doing what's right for you and healing your body from the inside out, that literally you're going to impact the world around you. And that gets us into the business side. So that I applaud Sean on. I mean, it's just amazing when you think about the levels of depth that there is with ER Shred. It's mind blowing when you think about what we have. Glenn, I have to bring you in and pick on you a little bit, buddy. I know you've gone through the certification process. You and Ina have been Isagenix millionaires and successful, very successful, so much so that when I interviewed you, which is really kind of a shocker, you walked away from a very successful health and wellness center and a chiropractic practice and said, we're going to do this business. And you've been very successful at it, so much so that you jumped into more on the personal development side and now the coaching aspect with John Maxwell and mindset work. What do you feel are some of the most important elements, or what do you try to convey to your team to get them inspired to basically do the business or to take action?
Great question, and thanks for having me. And obviously, this journey is such an individual situation, first of all. So what's happened for me is I was in the background of this, actually. Just to bring everybody who doesn't know my story, and I won't go into like a long version of it, but just to give you the background, practicing chiropractor in the town I grew up in, family practice, love what I do, and I'm a serial learner. And what happens with me is when I get bored, my world lets me know immediately. It's a big mirror for me. So we would take statistics in our practice, right? We would know how we did, how many new patients, how many visits did we see in a week, and so on. What was the income? And we would measure these statistics, and my staff would know just by the statistics whether it was time for Dr. Glenn to go learn something new and get excited again, because my biggest problem was boredom, right? So here I am taking all these different courses and coming back excited, learning a lot of new stuff. I was probably like most, as a chiropractor, we probably see somewhat more women than men, just because they're more active often at taking care of themselves, although it's changing now. It's starting to open up and change. So when I would deal with all these women who would then eventually talk to their husbands, and their husbands would come in, they'd think I was like a voodoo doctor, like I should have a bone in my nose with some of the stuff we were doing. But meanwhile, I was always learning. And in the background, I had Ina. I had Ina doing nutrition. That was her love and her passion. She was an amazing chiropractor and is an amazing chiropractor as well. But her passion has always been nutrition, and it started out food-based. So I bring that up because here we are, kind of back full circle. So here was this food-based nutritionist who eventually realized we needed something more than food. And it was like it was a bad day for her when she found that out. Like that food just wasn't enough alone, just wasn't quite enough if you wanted optimal health. And her parents, who were like the greatest fans of us and learned on their own, actually became health food store owners. We helped put them in business, and they owned 2 different health food stores. An amazing journey and just phenomenal, right? So imagine, we're very much now in the nutrition world. As a result of having this in our business, I see all these like products out there, and we find a crazy story. We find Isagenix, and we decide, our Ina decides to give it a shot. She calls an ad. She sees an ad in a chiropractic journal, makes a phone call. Turns out it's a chiropractor who ran the ad, who knows nothing about the products at all, really. He just ran an ad. But he was very cool. He hooked us up with Peter Greenlaw, his upline. So I saw Ina get off a phone call, and I go, I haven't seen that look in 15 years. Because as a chiropractor, we've been hit up for network marketing since probably network marketing's dawn. and never really stepped in, dabbled a little and never took it seriously. All of a sudden there was something real here. And when we did our original Isagenix cleanse, our nutritional cleansing program, it was so in alignment with where we were coming from, that the body was toxic and things like that, that we knew there was something special here. Where we've come from since then, and we've had the biggest issue because we're so unduplicatable as health professionals, and I'm constantly sharing that with our team. Use us as a tool, but you can't really be us. It's an individual game, and we being the tool is sometimes even better. It's way more duplicatable using somebody as a tool. You know what I mean? Being able to say everybody on this call, everybody, in the company, we don't care. It's a one team mentality. It's certainly the way I think. Can use us just as I have used many of you on calls that I have made. So when it comes to like, how do we build it? It does go back to what like Sean really said, and touched on, which is like, where are we coming from? What does the person in front of you want? What are they looking for? Some people really, are pretty tied up in what they were doing, and they just want a little bit of extra money. And something like $1,500 a month is like huge. That could that sets them apart. Or even $500 a month, could set them apart. And I realized that. And for me, here we were, these very, bohemian style chiropractors, this the late 80s, early 90s, and, into the early 2000s. And I just started, it started to matter about like, who was I with? What was I being surrounded by? Is it growing me as a person? Because like life is too short to just, and this company had that. It was like a personal growth journey with a compensation plan. And I started to explain to people, so many people were looking for side businesses. And I said, they look for things like franchises and things like that. And I said, here you've got now, especially now, here in 2021, got $1 billion franchise that you could tap into, so to speak, because of this fulfillment company, that has set itself apart by doing all the work for you, work that I could never even think of, produce, package, bottle, send it, handle the customer service. And really all we do is like recommend it to people. It's almost silly. It's almost silly if you think about it. Don't overcomplicate it. We really are sharing it. And I treat the same thing with ER Shred. Here's what worked for me. I said, here, my wife, who's been so passionate about what food is about. In fact, her whole life now centers around people's relationship with food. That's like really her passion is this, freedom from food addiction and issues like that. And what's beautiful was her husband, who, kept eating gear because he had the food police as a wife, to some degree. But at the same time, I struggled, even when it came to cleansing, it was something I did on a regular basis, but I'll be totally honest with you, I didn't look forward to it. It felt restrictive at times, but I knew it was good for me. So we make decisions sometimes based on, that balance level of comfort versus pain. Is it, worth it or not? Well, here, Sean and Crystal go through their, painful journey of their own health journey, and then eventually stumble upon this combination. And when I first heard about it, it was fascinating to me. And the best thing about it, I'll be totally honest with you, it's the part I share with a lot of people is, there's no deprivation aspect. So I don't know what the big deal is. Like that was the big deal for me, because I used to deal with people, and it was hard, being totally honest. They're like, really, you want me to eat 400 to 600 calories? And my answer used to be like, yeah, I know, you could do it though. You could do it, Zina, the coach, where I was like, I know it sucks, here's what I do to make it work, And here was this new program that I said, all right, what the hell, let's give it a shot. These are foods I like and I stay away from sometimes based on how I combine them, and you start to come alive, right? You start to come alive because the two biggest culprits are sugar and you know, and empty carbs, you know, and those two things, just getting those out of your diet for even 11 days while you're superfooding yourself with high quality protein, and then, you know, a magical formula that we're taking twice a day, you know, it's like it's the magic. It's like the right thing to do. So I try to tell people now, the way to share that is quite simply like, how about that for motivation, that you could actually earn an income? You know, you could be motivated to keep yourself in check because you could get paid to eat this stuff. You can get paid to eat this way. I haven't paid for an Isagenix product in 17 years, technically. You know, it comes for free. It's stocked like a lot of you guys all over the house, and are my kids' friends who I want to beat with a whip sometimes, you know, or help themselves with all kinds of stuff here. I mean, shakes are going all over the place, you know. And I'm thankful that they're there and we can provide that for my kids and their friends. I really am. I'm truly thankful that's the big deal. That's what we're known for. You know, you're not going to find too much. You're not going to find any junk in their house, you know, because we just don't eat it. We don't care about it anymore. And now it's become even simpler. So I just share that. I share the fact that, you know, we have a variety of protocols. You know, this is the one that I'm currently finding by far the most success with. And I simply come from the heart. It's all about them. It's not really about me anyway. You know, all I can do is tell them, here's what I did. Here's what I've seen. Here's who I know. These are similar things that, you know, you're sharing with me that I've heard. And, you know, you have nothing to lose. You really have nothing to lose at all. It's all completely guaranteed. It's like, you know, it's just, you know, it's, in fact, you know, we've had people who, for whatever reason, had to return products, but commended how well the company handled everything, you know? So it's like, it's easy when you're supported by an amazing fulfillment company and you're getting consistent results and you're tapped into a group where there's so many people who are active that it takes the brunt, hopefully, off of, you know, just a few, that's what happens in so many groups within not only this company, but within our industry. You get burnt out trying to make it work. And I feel like this is a really beautiful balance.
So one of the things that, thank you, Glenn, I really appreciate that. So one of the things I wanted to kind of open it up, I know we've got a lot of people on tonight. And as I said, this is really about you. And you can either come back to me tonight and say, and share what your why is, what motivates you, why are you here? You could share your goals. One of the things I did not mention in the SMART goals is you got to have accountability. And by declaring your goals, the best way to do it. And it doesn't matter if it's part-time income, full-time income, we're here to support. But I would like for people to just, if you have any questions or raise your hand, what would be the things that you would like to get most out of this call, out of this group? And understand we can continue this conversation ongoing, because the reality is we can interview people that are successful and you can listen in, but I want people to own it themselves and make it about you. What do you need? What are you looking for? Or as a big ass mastermind, ER Shred, with 22,500 people in it and a lot of people who are doing the business side, you have the opportunity to ask people, you know, how can I improve upon, or what can I do better in terms of sharing my story, et cetera. So if you haven't already, ershred.biz, ershred.biz is our business site. I don't know how many of you actually really have gone through all the lessons on that, but that's really the starting point. And I can't force you to go through it, but at minimum, you owe it to yourself to go through there and listen to the tutorials and really get solid on. We always said, we used to say your 15-second story. Now we say your 30-second story. Let's be realistic. If I tell someone 15 seconds, they're going to take 30 seconds and so on. 30-second story becomes a minute story. The idea is to be brief, but to be to the point where you're going to attract the other person. Like, what do you do? That was the hardest thing. My wife still to this day throws me on a Facebook Live. Bob, so introduce yourself. So tell me, what do you do? And I'm like, you know, what do I do? You know, am I a nutritional coach? Am I a business coach? Am I a former stockbroker? I still, after 17 years, have a
Mhm.
very difficult time spitting that out. So I want to open it up. Any thoughts, questions? Really what we're talking about here are the foundations of your business, and that is going to be your purpose, your why. Start with your why. Simon Sinek, great place to start. It's sharing your story, getting really good with your story and sharing how you share. The tools that Glenn talked about, that's the logical side, but that could be social media. That could be your cell phone sending text messages. That could be taking advantage of the different platforms, you know, be it LinkedIn, et cetera. Anybody willing to step in and share their thoughts, or really what, you know, what your desire would be? Natasha?
Sure, well,
Okay. I'll do it. Hey guys, well, first of all, you know, I just love Dr. Glenn. He always emulates and resonates everything coming out of my brain. So that was just super great to hear. I think for Rick and I, it's been a journey where we've kind of evolved over the years and all, but for sure right now, so much of it is it's for us, but it's really not about us. You know what I mean? And I think coming to ER Shred and being part of this community, that whole part, of course, with taking control, you know, of your body, taking control of what's happening to it is one thing. But I think what I said in the chat earlier too is it's really changed the way we show up in our posture, because we know how good it is. Like, you know, I'm living with Benjamin Button in the house, okay? So it's like, I totally know how it's possible. And Rick and I are, for those of you guys who don't know, he is the, you know, on point coach. He's like the one who does everything right. And I'm the one that messes up and kind of goes all over the place, and you know, but it works because we can both kind of resonate and relate to the people who we get blessed to talk to about it, and kind of meet them where they are in the middle and all. And I think that's just what's been so fun. But I think what's, you know, I've been in network marketing for 16 years, and I've been with this company for 8 years, but this has brought us back alive. I think it's revived our passion for it, my passion for it. I think for Rick, it's like, you know, from the corporate background and the, you know, recovered lawyer, it's like finally given him belief about it and like a place to move from. And he actually was interviewed, that I posted today, and he was featured in a men's issue of a magazine about like his journey through what he's doing and where he is now, and how, you know, this is kind of his passion and his path. And but it's so much about everyone else. And I just want to, you know, everyone we talk to and everyone we're blessed to touch, whether they're part of our team who we love so much, and I'm seeing some faces here on Zoom tonight, or if they're not, like, this community and family and how we all help each other is the way it's supposed to be. And it's not like that in the real world. And it's unfortunate. But, you know, I mean, I had a talk with someone today, and it's still that question of, well, what do you get? You know, when we were talking about getting products paid for, what do you get when, you know, they say, well, what, you know, what, is this a pyramid scheme, or, you know, how are you making money off your friends? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe people are even saying that anymore in this day and age, after we've been through a pandemic when people have lost their jobs that were so secure and everything was, you know, just supposed to just work the way it was supposed to. And here we have an opportunity through building communities, literally, of uplifting people in their health and their hearts, and making money doing it, and how people want to kind of question and poo-poo that. So I think Rick and I are just kind of in a place now of, I posted something on my wall today of, let me just see if I can read it to you guys, because I found it so powerful. where is it? I just want to read this. Yeah. Get honest with people about who you are, what you want, and how you expect to be treated. Standards only scare off people not meant for you. I mean, I just kind of feel like that's how it is, you know, and we can't help everyone, but we can help as many as we can, and we can meet them where they are, and we can, you know, go to them with love and show them what we have and explain it as best we can. And then what else can we do, right? So, I mean, I just feel like it's this, we're blessed to be in this place. And, you know, we just want to keep doing what we're doing. Rick and I are in the midst, that's why we were late on Zoom. We're in the middle of packing up this house and getting rid of everything and starting our rootless living lifestyle and taking it on the road and spreading as much ER shred, you know, well through wellness, Rick and Tasha, Bob and Sean and Warren and Stephen and Allison and, you know, everyone like Mimi and everybody like the Glenn, the love that we can take with us as far as we can go. So that's
Thank you, Natasha. No, and that's really the spirit of, that's the spirit of ER Shred. That's, we have something so precious, so amazing that even the medical professionals are scratching their heads like, holy cow, I can't believe this is happening. Question becomes, how can we share this with others and uplift? We can change the world. And I know coming alive, how it meant for me, it changed my perspective on all aspects in life. I don't even watch the news anymore. And that, for a news junkie, is, my wife, Allison, still married me regardless of that. Thank you. That was just one of the many, many positives. Ruby, I know you had some things to say. Are you still available?
I'm still here.
Excellent.
I wanted to say I agree with Natasha in many ways. What really attracted me once I found the ER Shred, I knew it was amazing, but I had caught Sean on one of his past videos where he was talking about how simple he liked his life and how simple he was. And that is something that I had been preaching as I had been trying to do network marketing for so many years. I just couldn't fall into setting up those visions and those goals the way the companies wanted you to set them up, because every goals were always attached to making some level or making some money. And I'm a huge empath, and it just never resonated. I was simpler, and what I really wanted was to help people. And so as soon as I started to see the results from the ER Shred, it was amazing, because I knew the product was there to be able to share. And I had hired a coach right before finding this company, and she has been working with me to make these goals and visions really simple. And so my basic mission is just to show everyday gals an opportunity to make their life easier, whatever that means for them, a little or a lot easier. It's a simple statement, but that's driving me, because I've always believed in the simple, and I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Ruby. That's powerful. I don't have that quote off the top of my head, but I do know this: we will do more for others. We'll be motivated, and we will do more for others than we'll do for our own self. And I don't know who to attribute that quote to, or if that's from the Bible, but read that many, many times, but it's so, so true. And I know that that's really the flame, that's the spirit of ER Shred, that because once you do come alive and you feel what it has done for you, it's really hard not to share it with others. Is there anybody else? Warren, I'm sorry, Brad's dad, would you like to say, you've been in this for a long time. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, Warren.
Hey, I tell you what, you got to be a product of the product, and I think most everybody in here is. The part that I'm so amazed at is the integrity of this group. And in order to sell anything, you have to be honest and upfront. So, and I have seen no negativity at all. The product works. It's just the way it makes you feel. 5 years ago I did the Isagenix products, but it worked. The product worked. But this ER shred is a real deal. It makes you come alive. It gives you energy. And, I'm not a salesman, Bob, but I have shared already with, several people and working with Brad and Rick and Natasha. It's fun. Who doesn't want to, have fun and make money? It just, and help people along the way. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm a lifetime student. I'll be 62. You talking about you'll be 60. I'll be 62 in August. So I'm loving it and enjoying the ride and look forward to helping people.
It's so exciting. And our number one income earner, Jimmy Smith, started at the ripe young age of 74. I keep reminding myself of that. And by the time Peter figured out what he had on his hands, he was 58. And I know what he has done. And obviously we've got some amazing mentors in Sean, Crystal, and obviously Tony and Randy that are inspiring me.
I've already dubbed Warren C as the next Jimmy Smith.
There you go. A little pressure on you, Warren.
I've been saying it for a couple of months now, so I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I watched Jimmy the Butcher the other night.
So the one thing that I want to leave you guys with in terms of thinking about going forward is, and I can put up a question in the poll, or maybe we can communicate easily on the ER Shred Biz site, is this business is simple. And we try to represent that with the aspect of ershred.biz, because it is the simplicity of sharing with others and then repeat and teaching them to do the same. And if we come to it from a standpoint of a servant heart of service in terms of what is good for the other person, it never is sales. And I think sales is a dirty word because people think of that as being manipulative or a process, or believe me, we just came back from Mexico and you have to go through your damn timeshare update. And you got the slimy ass guy trying to pull every damn sales trick in the world on you. And you just literally are amazed that people still fall for that. But it does give sales a bad image. But what I want for our community, and it is a community, is I would like to invite everybody that would like to come. And the one thing I came across today, and I just want to let people how I feed my mind and what I have, since I've eliminated watching the news, is I try to feed my mind positive material. So I do a lot of Audible. I'm listening to books online, walking the dog. I read books. One of my favorite guys is Dr. Wayne Dyer. My mother introduced me to him because she went to high school with him in Detroit. And what a fascinating, amazing story. He spoke to me. The other side of me, which maybe Sean will like, is, or Jesse would love this book, Embrace the Suck. This is a Navy SEAL way to an extraordinary way of life. So when things get tough or challenging, what motivates me is I listen to these heroic stories. It's not so much necessarily what they did on the battlefield, but it's how they prepared their mind and their bodies in order to be the best that they can be. And it's extraordinary. But my point being is that I hope that all of you can find resources that speak to you, that keep you at the top of your game, because you got to constantly reinforce positive thought. So Sean, I found a quote that I wanted to leave you with, because this is literally what you told me about almost 11 months ago with the concept of the ER Shred group. In that you said, trust me, if we do this right, the right people will show up. They just will. So I was reading Dr. Dyer's book, and he made the statement, if you stay on purpose and are committed to following your bliss, that's your passion, that's your purpose, that's your heart, right? The universal one mind will cooperate with you in bringing this to fruition. It'll bring it together. It'll make it happen. The right people will show up. The obstacles will be swept away. The necessary circumstances will materialize, and guidance will be there. As the ancient Buddhist proverb reminds us, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And likewise, when the teacher is ready, the students will appear. And I want to end with that, but I want you to think about that, because it's so true, because that is the essence of ER Shred. In Sean's initial thought is that if I'm true to myself and with integrity and coming from the heart, and I share this with others and I can impact their health, we will move people. This will grow. Just trust me on this. Because it was a novel idea. Hey, I'm going to open this up. I'm changing the name of my business group. I'm changing it entirely. And I'm going to call it the ER Shred. Some will, some won't, but so what? But trust me, the right people will show up. And if I'm moved by anything, it's by you all that show up every week. It's the community. It's the impact. It's the personal testimonials. You can't buy this kind of marketing. I mean, you just can't pay enough money for it. It's from the heart, it's authentic, and it's as real as it gets. And I just want you to leave with you guys tonight just with a thought process. This might be the single best opportunity that I've ever seen, because for the first time in my life, I can do something for myself that's uplifting for me health-wise. It helps my family, obviously. I'm a better husband, father, etc. But more importantly, I now, but what Warren said, by just sharing it with others, who wouldn't want to feel better and basically get paid for doing that? We have an opportunity for you to run on some tracks that literally has an unlimited cap of income. And I'm not doing that to say you got to be Jimmy Smith, which is amazing in terms of what he's done, but you could say he's our Roger Bannister. He did it. It's possible. At the age of 74, he's what, 91 now? Doesn't matter, but I think his family's made over 60 million. These are unheard of numbers. I say that only because I'm trying to lift up the industry. If it's done properly, what's possible. The levels of attainment in this company exceeds any business that you could go in. And I'm including the healthcare industry. You could be a neurosurgeon, you can be a cardiologist. They can do very, very well. However, their income too is somewhat capped, and they can't reach the levels that the top people in our company, in this fulfillment company, have done so. And I've got Sean as an example, and Crystal, I've got Tony and Randy, Glenn and Ina. There are others that have done it, and they are more successful than any of their peers of what would have been possible in their previous careers. And that includes Wall Street. There are a handful that are like wonder kids that are unbelievable sick money. But for the average person, you can't touch this type of opportunity, but you can't, most importantly, you can't be fulfilled from the heart. There's nothing like this. So going forward, if you would be willing to help me, please, it's basic to business, but maybe we could put out an idea list in terms of what people need and what they were looking for that week, and we can bring experts in to talk about that specific part of the business, be it social media, be it the left side of the brain, the how-tos, or to even talk about our why and our purpose and how do we attach ourselves to a higher purpose, you know, in terms of what drives us. So is there anybody else that, like Sean, would you like to add anything to this?
I just want to say to our fearless leader, Sean, happy birthday on Saturday, fellow cancer man. And Bob, that was great. I think it's a great idea for all of us to kind of come together and bring our ideas together, because it really is a thing. But happy birthday, and great call, super call.
Sean, you got to lead us.
There we go. Just wanted to say thank you so much. One of the coolest things about what we do is, we talk about it a lot, is that average people, and average is not a bad word. We could refer to it more so as normal. I consider myself an average normal person. And there is something special about not believing that you're better than other people. None of us is better than the other. We're all phenomenal. We're all tremendous. And I just love that we're all showing up. That's really the beauty of what we've got going on here is, Ali mentioned, you know, the masculine and the feminine and how those serve each other so well. And, you know, Natasha mentioned how we can all complement one another. That's how I look at this. It's really not, they always say you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. This has really been the first time in my almost 20-year career where I've seen this kind of collaboration, where I've seen this kind of sincerity in terms of working together, helping one another, being there for one another, taking a sincere, genuine interest in one another. It's just been so unbelievably refreshing. It's given me hope for mankind because I want this for everybody. Like, that's what I would hope for. What this model has done for Crystal and I, we owe everything to it. Everything we have in terms of success and financial assets and things of that nature, and in terms of retirement, it all came from this. So I just loved everything that everyone said tonight, and just keep sharing. That's the only trick. Keep sharing. Ruby had said, what was Sean doing when he was in that dungeon? What was he doing? Well, let me tell you, I tried a lot of things. And what you'll find, Ruby, is the industry can work for all types, but you're going to find out what you're good at, and you're going to find out what fits for you. That's what's so cool about the industry, is there really is no one size fits all. And Bob, if ever you as our host, if you ever feel like people want that from you, that they want the way, then you and I both know that there is no one way. And even if we told you one way of doing it, guess what? That wouldn't be a lot of people's way. That's the cool thing about ER Shred, is it's all about the feels. And it's the cool way about how we are doing the opportunity now, which is it's all about the feels. And what might work for you, Ruby, might not work for Natasha. And what works for Allie may not work for Warren, but working together, we can all complement one another, and we can all find our niche. I really believe in a niche within the industry. And I really believe that if you try to copy people, you're discouraged. You're going to end up discouraged. It's going to be counterproductive for you. Trust your way, trust your process, trust your feels, and just keep sharing with as many people as you can in whatever way you can. And that would be my advice, is find your niche for sharing. And Ruby, there's 1,000 ways to share, and you better just start trying all of them. And you'll start to find what clicks. It's the only way to learn what we can eat is through process of elimination. And it's the only way that you're going to really discover how to make this business work for yourself, is also through process of elimination. That would be my advice. So everybody's showing up. That's the best part about this community. I love you guys.
Thank you so much, Sean. And buddy, that's pretty much it. We're here for you. We're here to serve, as my wife said earlier tonight. The reason why I made you all the guests is basically exactly what Sean just said. And that is, what works for me, what works for Glenn, Dr. Glenn, what works for Sean doesn't necessarily work for you. You're the audience. You're the one looking for the how-to. Dive deep inside your soul, meditate, think about it. The answer is always there. It's within. And I know you know that, because it's in everybody. Listen to your inner voice, listen to your heart. But most importantly, if you want this, take action, be accountable. And I love your ideas, but another idea is, I thought we've got several small teams that are working together. We've got people who have created masterminds within ER Shred that are working together to keep themselves accountable. I'm going to bring them on in the future to get them to open up, and what are they doing right, and what's the positive aspect of that? Because these are all things that you too can apply. And the beauty of ER Shred is we are one team. It doesn't matter if you're financially connected or not. You have probably the best single resource I've ever seen in all the last 17 years. And I know Sean's been here longer, but like you said, we've never seen anything quite like this, both from the standard of results, but we've never seen a community evolve like this. And Sean, you literally foreshadowed. You're almost like, I don't know how, you're a prophet. You said, trust me, the right people will show up, just watch. And the people who aren't right, they will leave, and we don't have to tell them to leave. They'll just go on their own way. And I couldn't be more grateful for that foresight, because this is fun, guys. I'm having a kick. I know we all are. And at my young age of 59, buddy, when I turn 60, Warren, I'm gonna be ripped. I'm getting the ripped now, but by the time I'm 60, that's it. I'm gonna be able to say that most people hopefully will say, I'll be like the older Sean. They're gonna go, holy shit, how can I look like you? And I said, baby, it's the ER shred, and it's the most simple way of life I've ever found. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time tonight. Love all you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks,
Good night,
Bob.
everybody. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks,
Thank
Sean.
you.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
As
Tasha.
always,
Thanks, Glenn.
happy
See
birthday,
you,
Sean.
everyone.
Sharon.
Night.
Bye,
Good night.
Ali.
Happy birthday.
Then Ruby.
Happy
Dr.
birthday,
Glenn.
Sean.
Bye.
Rike.
You.
Feliz
Good
cumpleaños.
night, y'all.
Good night.